Make sure everything's just streaming. All right, good. Bet. All right, good. All right, teammates. We here. We are back. Fourth Sunday in a row. As one Crookshank and one and only Move Swiftly speaker here. Five-time published author, former college athlete, current five-time published author. Fourth week in a row where we have our live stream Sundays in which we're talking NIL. We're talking how to navigate the transfer portal. We're diving into all that stuff. And today is the first day in which I actually have a current college athlete, someone that I've just did. As you guys know, if you keep up with my work regularly, you know I do NIL deals every month, and today is the first Sunday actually in March, and it's fitting that we're in March Madness, and I have a female hooper here. It's surreal, and she played for Michigan before she got to Butler. I mean, so many things that we're going to dive into in this conversation, so I'm excited for you guys to hear, but I will make this announcement now. It's a strong possibility that I'll start making these more of a monthly thing as opposed to doing them weekly, because I'm really thinking now that I have an athlete on, I'm gonna make it so it's strictly for the collegiate athletes that are currently playing. So with all that, let me just give Ariana the microphone for a second to introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll get into some of the questions I have for you.
Okay, what's up, everybody? I'm Ariana Wiggins, but I go by Ari. I'm a junior at Butler. I transferred from Michigan from my freshman and sophomore year. Decided to come back home. I'm happy to be on this podcast and just talk with you guys.
All right, so let's get right into it because I have it written down. I have the date written down. What year did you graduate high school?
2021.
Oh my God, it's perfect. So I'm reading this right from my book because I just put out a book, Transferring D1, and I have it on page 45, utilizing NIL. July 1st, 2021. Okay, it's still in high school, and the announcement comes in which now you can be making money off of your name, image, and likeness. Now, again, I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland. we're not going to get into this argument right now, but I do believe that Maryland has the best basketball players. I'm sure you think Indianapolis.
Okay.
I'm sure we can get into a back and forth, and we can go at it at some point. I'm sure at some point we'll go at it. But I'm just saying, we got Angel Reese. Y'all got a lot of people, but we can best start name drop. We got KD, but we ain't gonna do that right now.
Okay.
I just want to talk to you about, you came up again, you played AAU, you watched your brother quit basketball, and then you took over and you started playing. And now that brother is currently playing baseball at Indiana University. He's a Hoosier. So you didn't know from, I'd say, you're pretty much till you were 18 that you were going to be able to make money off NIL. How did things change for you in that? Can you take us back to that mindset, or take us back to where you were there when that announcement came and you realized, oh shit, my life is completely different now. My college experience is going to be different. Just kind of talk us through that.
I think when that announcement came out, my whole outlook on just the college basketball experience was going to be different, because now not only are you playing basketball, you're a student athlete, you're also trying to build your brand. And when you get into college, that's really not your first mindset. It's okay, now I got to present myself in this way. So I think my freshman year, I'm tackling the transition from from high school basketball to college, but I'm also what do I want to put out there for companies to see? And what are my values that I want people to know about? And so it's kind of trying to juggle all that was different. But I think that really is going to help when you get into the real world and you get out of college basketball. But now you're putting in a different factor of okay, I got to do this on the court so I can get companies to partner with me off the court. And it was just a different type of shift that you didn't think about for real in high school.
Now, how did it affect your focus on the game though? Because one of the things that I've been learning, and this is me just kind of talking to other people that work in fundraising. In fact, got to do this before I forget. Shout out to Betsy, who introduced us, who works in the fundraising department for Butler. But it's a lot of people that I've spoken to in these departments that are not huge fans of NIL, because and I even had this conversation yesterday with a business coach of mine, is, when a company gives money to athletes, there's really no way of measuring their ROI. There's really no way. You give money to someone like you, it's how do you know, or even we'll even use the example of Angel Reese. Mercedes Benz can offer her a deal, but she's not out there selling cars. So
Yeah.
what's the way of measuring
Mhm.
ROI? And that's where there's so many holes in the business side of it, to where again, when you say, when you say build your brand, did it lead to distractions on the court? Did you start to see your focus shift a little bit to where I'm at Michigan? Because again, you're at Michigan. This is a no shot. This is the best athletic program in the country. Now
Mhm.
I got to start thinking about building my brand and all that. So talk us through that a little bit.
Um, I wouldn't say it was like challenging. I think it was more of like a enhancement. Like I think it didn't really like take away from like what I was doing on the court because I
Hmm.
think the coaching staff and like the staff that we had at Michigan like let us know like the NIL stuff is kind of like a plus. Like we're here to play basketball. That's our like first and foremost. Um, but kind of like having to shift and kind of think about, okay, what do I want people to see me as like off the court? I think that was kind of like the biggest thing. Like
Hmm.
companies are like using you because like you're good at this sport, but like they also want people who are like good people and like have the same values what their company is trying to portray to other people. And
Hmm.
so I think that was probably the more challenging part. Is like, okay, the NIL and like the stuff and like making money sounds cool to like all college players. Like everybody wants to be like the face of some company. Like that's just the big thing. But I think people don't understand like you can't just put your name on different things just because the money's gonna come, and you have to like sit down and
Hmm.
think, does this like bring like does this bring stuff like positivity to like my life, and does it enhance my brand, and like is it kind of like a give and take relationship? Because there's some NIL deals like they offer you a lot of money, good deals, but like when you sit back and look at it, is it going to be something like, oh, I was happy that I did this deal, like did this deal bring in more opportunities? And I think some people just forget about like you gotta like this stuff is going to stay with you forever. And so like I kind of took away or um like decline some deals because I'm like, this doesn't really like I don't really like see eye to eye on that. Like it's a great deal and I love your company, but like that's not a brand I'm trying to, promote. And I think kind of deciding, okay, you gotta have to lose out on some things because like what you're trying to present to other people is like the biggest thing.
Hmm. So when you say you've declined deals, that's first of all, that's very commendable for a college age kid like you declining deals. Me personally, I know when I was in college, I was a walk on, so our situations were a little different. I wasn't
Mhm.
declining many deals, but
Yeah.
so when you say decline deals, what sort of things turned you off about it? Was it something that if you put your name there, it's not going to help you your career? What would it take for someone to say something that would make you say no?
Like if they're explaining to me like what their company is about or what they're trying to promote, and I just don't have like a to me, I for me, I need a personal connection with something to be able to give my all to it. And sometimes like they're just deals that I'm just like, I have no idea what your company is. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know why I'm promoting it. Like stuff like that. Like it was never anything negative that the company did, but it was like there was no like I didn't see a merge in like their brand helping my brand. And
Hmm.
then just like sometimes like NIL deals would be like really big type of deals where like they kind of do take away from like your athletics. And me being a freshman when the NIL stuff started happening,
Yeah.
I didn't really get into an NIL deal where it was like you have to do a meet and greet every so like every other month. You got to post on
Oh
Instagram like
man.
every other day. You got like to me like that's something like I don't want to do because like I don't want to take too much time away from what I came to do at Michigan
Right.
and play basketball and like do school. So like those deals I kind of shied away from because
Yes.
I like for me I had a bigger goal and like the NIL stuff was cool, but like I wasn't really looking like to like pursue and like go out and reach out to companies because like some of those got hard and they got hectic and you was doing a lot for a lot of people.
Oh man, that's actually really really great that you said that, because I think that clarifies so much for a lot for these athletes who don't know. It's not just the athletes, but just the adults who are involved around NIL and what it's all about. So my next question to you would be like, because again, I've been doing this for, it's going to be close to a year coming up in July. So I've kind of have a little bit of skin in the game when it comes to how this works, and I've spoken to a lot of collectives, and so many collectives are going in so many different directions. But the main issue that I hear when I speak to most of them is they're only focused on two sports. One of them is your sport, and the other one is football.
Mhm.
But what about what happens with the other athletes? What happens when it comes to making sure everything is being distributed fairly? So,
Mhm.
from your perspective, what would you like to see the collectives be, and how would you like to see them kind of be that bridge that filters a lot of those companies out, so you don't have to, you can rest your mind and say, look, I'm playing ball, and if the
Mhm.
deals that do come in, they're going to be stuff I want, because I know this collective is filtering out not
Mhm.
nonsense that isn't going to be for me, is going to take away from my academics and my athletic playing career. So what would you want to see from collectives?
Um, Probably just like more like understanding like you're partnering with like college athletes. I think sometimes like they forget like okay, these are people who have different things on their agenda,
Yes.
and when they're catering to just like basketball and football, their like pool of like options to choose from is so small. So then like they just keep putting more tasks on people. And I think
Mhm.
like there are so many other like athletes, like baseball players, soccer players who
Yes.
need the opportunity.
Individual sports, like even though I saw you post earlier, that swimming girl.
Yeah, so like she
Love it.
does NIL deals as well. So like they're so like I feel like obviously football and basketball bring in a lot of attention. They bring in money. Just that's just obvious. But I think when you open the floor to many more athletes, I think a company and the NIL deals can be much more distributed and you have a bigger audience. But I think it's hard when you only have two sports trying to like
Hmm.
push your deals on. And there's players like me who just don't want to take on that task because they have bigger goals to like think about. And for me, I'm still in college. Like I want to enjoy the college life, so I don't
Yeah.
want to see it as like, oh, I gotta go to work and do this
Yeah.
deal, and then I gotta go to practice. Like that's my thing. And when you're like the only teams doing is basketball and football, you kind of feel like I have to. Then I asking like the
Yeah.
softball players, and they should be asking the softball players
They
because
should be
people
right.
want that deal because we
Mhm.
all student athletes be able to promote a band,
Not only that, and what I tell them all the time, look, basketball and football, there's a pro league that's going to pay them millions of dollars.
right?
There's no other league that's going to do that. So if you're going to push NIL, you need to be working with those sports that don't have a pro league because they're
Yeah.
not going to get paid to play their sport. So
Mhm.
you're going to get more attraction. You're going to get more of a engagement with the schools or the sports that don't have that pro league
Yeah.
because they know they're not going to be playing this sport in the future.
Mhm.
So majority of times, and you've been in college long enough to realize most of those, like when you mentioned softball, those kids are not coming in freshman year. They're not going to play all 4 years. They
Yeah.
have to continue to recruit, re-recruit
Mhm.
every year. So you're better off anyway working with the smaller schools.
Yeah.
Football and basketball is an entity in itself.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, I have this conversation over and over and over again, but again, it takes having people like you want to validate this so we can teach them, look, it's a great opportunity for NIL, but you got to make sure you're rolling it out the right way. And
Yeah.
the next issue that kind of comes up with that, and you were part of this as well, is the transfer portal.
Mhm.
What happened? I just want you to speak on it, like, because I know that freshman year, I'm someone who has transferred. I transferred after my freshman year as well, and it
Mhm.
was a difficult decision because I was at a D2 school, and I know that this particular school was the school that took me. All the Division I ones didn't want me, so it was hard for me to leave a school that wanted me as a high school kid. But
Yeah.
I tore my ACL. I wasn't playing much, and the situation just wasn't what I felt it would be.
Mhm.
So, that's my story. I have it here in the book, but I want to kind of give you the platform now to talk us through what that situation was like, because I transferred long before the transfer portal even existed. So,
Mhm.
go ahead, floor is yours.
So I got recruited like during like the COVID period. So like when I committed to Michigan, it was like during like the whole shutdown period. So like I didn't even get to do like a visit, like a official visit or anything. Like I
Oh,
didn't
you committed before you actually went to the campus?
yeah, no, so I went to campus like on an unofficial visit
Oh, okay.
like sophomore year or something like that.
Just
And
to like
then
play around, like.
yeah, like just like to see the campus, see like just do all that stuff. And right when I was doing like my home visits, like COVID hit and they shut everything down. So like I didn't get to, see the coaches and like get the real official visit feel.
Right.
But when I did like we were on Zoom a lot. So when I did my Zoom calls, like I just fell in love with Michigan, like everything about it. Like it's like one of the greatest universities in the world. They have like some of the best people on their coaching staff. They recruit like the best players, the top players in the nation. And I was like, I just can't say no. And it
Hmm.
was for me, it's like maybe like a 4 hour drive from like Indianapolis. So I was like, that's not
Right,
too
right,
far.
right
Not
there in the Midwest. Yeah, y'all keep it close. Yeah.
yeah. So like I can, go away a little bit and kind of grow up, but I also can, come back home when I need to, like if need be. And obviously I always tell like people this, like your freshman year is gonna be hard. Like after your freshman year, I don't think I had the idea of transferring because I'm like, this is normal. Like you're gonna have some ups and downs. And for me, my situation is a little different because I think at the most pivotal points in my freshman year season, like your summer workouts, the start of the season, and then like postseason play, I was injured like in all three seasons. So like that was really hard.
This was your incoming freshman year. You
And
got
so
hurt. Oh,
incoming
okay.
like so summer practice got a concussion. So I was like kind of out for the summer. Then I had almost like broke my foot in practice. So I was out for like a couple, like 4 to 6 weeks. And then
I didn't know. Yeah, I
during
didn't know
that, playing on a stress fracture and doing that all at the same time. So
that. That
that,
on top of your freshman year,
yeah, this is
it's a
like,
lot to carry.
yeah. So I'm thinking like,
Yeah, I didn't
okay,
know that. I didn't know that.
yes, like it was a lot of just, stuff going on. And I'm like,
Yeah,
this is like, to me, I'm like, this is normal. Like, this is freshman year. It's supposed to be really,
it's
really
gonna be
hard.
tough. Yeah, it's a ball. My coach used to call it. It's a ball buster, man. It's a
Mhm.
ball buster.
Yeah.
That
And,
phrase has stuck with me for over 20 years now.
but I remember like after my freshman year, I'm talking to my dad. I'm like, I mean, it's freshman year. Like it's gonna get better from here. Like that's normal. You're gonna have some ups and downs. Like college
Mhm,
basketball is different. Like my body was changing. Like of course some injuries gonna happen because you're going harder. You're playing against bigger girls. Like that's normal.
mhm,
And just like sophomore year was like a great year. I like enjoyed every opportunity that I had to play. But when I was like evaluating what I wanted from Michigan in the athletic standpoint,
mhm,
after my sophomore year, when I got like 2 years under my belt, I started seeing what my future was actually going to like look like and unfold after that year. I just
mhm,
wasn't, I wasn't content with like how that season was going to go and how it was going to play out. And
mhm,
just kind of I was like always thinking like would there be an opportunity that fits me best somewhere else. And when I went to like think about that and talk about that with my parents, I was like, yeah, I love Michigan. It's a great academic school, the great school for just like social and like a great basketball program, but
mhm,
it didn't cater to like my needs that I wanted to see for myself for like the
mhm,
next years of my college career. And so making that decision was probably one of the hardest things I've had to make. um but when I decided like where I wanted to go, I knew I wanted to go somewhere close to home
mhm,
that kind of fit my playing style a little bit more. Because at Michigan, they have a great offense, but it didn't fit like what I wanted to do. So like I was kind of always like constricted and stuff like that. Nothing to
mhm,
criticize the program because they're really successful and it works for them. But I just needed
mhm,
something like I could feel comfortable playing in. And so when I decided to leave, I knew I wanted to go somewhere close to home,
mhm.
somewhere where I could play just a little bit more free, but also have that same academic structure that
Right.
Michigan had in Butler was like the next best thing to it. And like for me
Mhm,
now, it is the best thing because it fits who I am as a person. I'm close to home. I can play the way I want to play. And I still have that
mhm.
academic like intensity that I needed.
Yeah, man. Well, we all Butler made its presence back when I was coming up, back when Brad Stevens really brought the
Yeah.
program to some national prominence. But I remember I was talking to Betsy about it. It's a great program, and I know we know about Michigan. I love Michigan just like everyone else. But again, the takeaway that we got to take away from all of that she said, it was a basketball decision, and this thing is a business, guys. This is a
Mhm.
business. All right, this is
Yeah.
a business, and this is why I tell athletes all the time, you got to make sure you're doing things for yourself because this is a business. When she said it was a basketball decision, it was either she could transfer or she was going to get replaced by a point guard that was going to play in their system. And it's not
Mhm.
because Ari is necessarily a bad player. It's just, look, I'm the coach. This is the system we're running. It's not personal, but we need someone that wants to play this way. And for you to know these things, you got to shout out Pops. You got to give your dad a shout out because I know he kind of put the structure in your head to say, if
Mhm.
it's basketball, it doesn't matter how much you love the school, you got to make a business decision. And
Exactly.
with that now, like I said, it's different than when I was coming up. When I transferred, I had to sit out a year. I tore my ACL. There was all these rules. I had to whole sit out year, and then the next year, once I finally got there, I wasn't eligible to play. There was all these NCAA rules that are just
Mhm.
complete nonsense. But now you have the transfer portal,
Yeah.
and one of the things that gets said is it's not a guarantee that you're going to get picked up when you enter the transfer portal. So,
Yeah.
what was that process like? I'm curious to hear what just jumped because again, you're an elite level basketball player, and they're
Mhm.
bringing in the best players every year. So
Mhm.
I'm sure that Butler had other point guards. I'm sure there were situations where it was like, look, Ari's, only what you have, what, like 2 years of eligibility left, or
Yeah. Mhm.
versus
Too.
a freshman that comes in with 4 years of eligibility. How
Mhm.
was that process? Would you kind of talk us through that? Because that's risky.
Yeah. So like definitely putting your name in the portal is risky because you like before you do anything, before like your name is in there, you can't talk to anybody. You don't know who wants you. You don't even know if they're looking for a point guard. You don't know who they have coming in. Um, what another school's situation is going to be. So you're kind of like jumping in the recruiting process like you did in high school all over again,
Yeah,
but with a lot more like stress because you're like I want
because
to
you
get
don't have no eligibility.
yeah
I mean,
and
less eligibility. You got eligibility. You got less eligibility than
yeah
your high school competition.
hmm and but I would say for me, I think when I put my name in the portal, I had an idea of like where I wanted to go. So I didn't want like a lot of schools like contacting me. So like I knew I kind of wanted to go close to home. So when I reached out to other schools and I was like, hey, this is who I am. Here's some film. I knew exactly like kind of where I wanted to go and what vicinity. And like I would never remember like this like process. I remember I put my name in the portal, I posted it on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and I guarantee like maybe 30 minutes later after that, I get a call from Coach P, so the head coach at Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting in my apartment in Michigan, just like having one of like the best conversations I've ever had with a head coach in my life, just
Wow.
talking about um he's really excited to like, get to know me, to go through this process, really hopes that he can get me, kind of telling me about Butler and everything
Mm-hmm.
that they have to offer. And for me, Butler's like 8 minutes away. So I'm like, okay, this can be a
From where you
perfect
grew up, right?
fit. Yeah.
Right.
And cool story, Butler was my first offer. So I'm like, okay, this can be a full circle moment. This is my
Mm-hmm.
first offer, close to home. Like this can be great. Like this is a great
Right.
conversation. So I get off the phone and I call my mom and dad, and my mom's like, yeah, Coach P just called me before he called you, and we had a 40-minute conversation. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's
Went
talking
right
to
to
everybody.
mom and dad.
He's
That's a smart
on
coach.
it.
Shout out to coach if you're listening, man.
And so I like get into my apartment and everything's cool. And I'm like, yeah, I love talking to Butler. Like, okay, when I go home, I'm gonna do a visit. Coach P calls me back and he's like, what are you doing tomorrow? And I'm like, I just have class, nothing crazy, like, basketball season's over. He's like, would you be okay if I came up to Michigan and like took you to lunch and like we had a conversation about what Butler has to offer? And
Oh man.
I'm on the phone, just like I'm like, yeah, of course, like
Hey,
this is cool.
okay. So let's make sure he's not breaking any
He's not, no,
stuff.
he's not. He didn't break any rules. Like he didn't do anything. I paid for my food and everything.
We
But
gotta put that disclaimer out there
yeah,
to them.
he
Like,
didn't.
okay, she's
Yeah,
in
he
the
didn't pay
transfer
for
portal
anything.
too, so we good.
Yeah, he came up on his own will, just wanted to have a conversation.
Right.
And
And then you paid for your stuff. Cool.
yeah, I paid for my stuff. Have the receipts. We can
That
go
is
back.
on the record, folks.
Yeah, have the receipts and everything. And I think when that happened and he made that decision to
Yes.
kind of drop everything he had, and he's still recruiting. He has
The
freshmen
next
coming
day,
in.
dog. That's
The
crazy.
next day to come and just like get a conversation, like just to talk to me. Like I didn't say, hey, I want to commit. I didn't say, hey, like I want to do a visit. I haven't said anything like that yet. He just wanted to come and just have a conversation with me. So he and Coach Hoop, who's my position coach at Butler now, came up the next day, and I had one like again the best conversation I've ever had with a coach, like really down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
And after that conversation, we went to Buffalo Wild Wings. And after that, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I know I want to commit to Butler. Like, I just want to, be sure because, the last time I committed, I thought I was super sure about Michigan and, things fall down. And so I'm just like, in my heart, like, I think I should go to Butler. Like, I think this is what God's telling me to do. I call my parents. I tell, hey, Coach P just came up to Michigan, went out to lunch with him and had the best conversation. And so I'm talking to other schools, still talking like Butler's still first on the list. I'm just, making sure I'm going through every single school, making sure I hear everything I want to hear, making sure like I'm getting the best out of every conversation so I don't make a decision that like I'm going to regret or like I'm going to have to like fall through again.
Yeah.
And every single time I get off the phone and with another coach, I'm like, but I just can't, like Butler's still number one. Like every school is saying the right thing, but Butler's just up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting in my bed like, at some point, because like the process for me was probably a week and a half of just talking to different coaches and stuff like that. It wasn't too long. And I called my dad and I'm like, I think I want to commit to Butler. And I remember like that same weekend, I was supposed to go back home and do my official visit with Butler. So I was like, I think I want to commit, but I want to do it after the official. I just want to make sure. So I kept thinking about it, and I'm like, I really don't want to wait till like my official visit. Like I just knew, like I wanted to go. So I remember I called Coach P, and I'm like, hey, I know I'm coming up to school on Saturday, but I just want to let you know that like I want to commit to Butler like right now. Like I don't want to wait. I don't want to like talk to anybody else. This is where I know I need to be. And he's just going crazy. I remember he said he was like at some park with his daughter and he's screaming and hollering and like all the parents are like looking at him.
So I know that.
But that process, like going through transfer portal was like, for me, it was so smooth because once I figured out like what I wanted and what I needed and where I wanted to be, and I wasn't just like letting everybody just contact me and kind of like hearing everything from everybody, it made it so much easier. And then Coach P, like he really like did his big one with recruiting me and like making sure he could like lock me in. And I think that kind of like shows what kind of person he is because like to that, like to this day, I still think like he's held true to like everything he told me when like the first time I talked to him. It's still holding true today.
Yes.
And I think like when I made that second decision on where to go, like this is one of the best decisions I made in my life.
Yes, and there's a couple things. I have a whole page full of notes here in terms of what you just said. But the first, my initial reaction to that, and this is for all the coaches out there, because this is important if you want to build a winner, if you want these jobs, if you want to be considered for these jobs. Actions speak louder than words, guys.
Mhm.
Actually, you can talk on Zoom all day, talk how bad you want to recruit. Get your ass in your car and
Mhm.
drive out there. Take the 4 hour drive if you
Yep.
want to play that bad enough. And look, if they're available, you got to be the first to it. It's aggressive business, it's an aggressive
Mhm.
move, but without any risk, there's no reward. So the
Exactly.
fact that he took that action, obviously, you see that has held true and has stuck with her for a very long time. It probably will stick with her for the rest of her life when she
Mhm.
goes out and looks for a job, when she goes out and looks for a partner, all the things that you are going to be needing later on in life when it comes to building relationships. Just that action in itself is like, look, if you're not willing to do these things, look at how you raise the standards in terms of what people are expecting of you when you enter a transfer portal, when you are in any sort of transition. So shout out to Coach for doing that. And, also we got to shout out mom and dad, because
Mhm.
they were in this thing with you. They were part of the process. And so many issues that arise when it comes to the transfer portal is just honestly lack of a structured environment at home.
Yeah.
You're jumping in the portal because sometimes they don't even know what coach is going on, but they just think they're going to get more money. They were promised
Mhm.
more money from this business, and things are going on where they're all over the place. Next thing you know, nobody wants them. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a ton of people in the portal like that. So
Mhm.
you obviously had a vision for what you wanted your life to look like, and I do want to make sure we talk about this at some point. Is your business, your clothing line, and all that. How did that get started? Where did you spark with that?
Um, so I remember it was um going into my sophomore year. So yeah, that summer going into my sophomore year of college, I remember I
Mhm.
texted like one of my best friends back at home. He's a baseball player at Tuskegee. And I remember he posted on Instagram like, "Oh, I want to start a clothing brand." So remember he said that a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Hey, I saw you want to start a clothing brand. Like, do you want to like partner together and kind of like kick it off? Since we both have like a big following, we can kind of do it together and help each other out." And he's like, "Yeah, that's perfect." And so those first couple months and really that first year, it was really just like a lot of trial and error. We were working together, just dropping different like items of clothing. Like we dropped t-shirts, jackets, like sweatshirts, everything like that. And we like the business was going well. Like it was something fun that we just got to do. Me and
Oh,
him got
so like
closer
a
together.
hobby kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it was really like it was never for us. It was never really a job, and it was just something like we got to do on the side. Like I played basketball, had my business, and he played baseball, and had his business, and it was just a great way to
Hmm.
kind of be creative. And
Yeah.
then after that year, me and him both decided, okay, we want to kind of have like our own personal brand. Like we wanted to, work together so we can kind of kick it off and then like branch out. And he has his own thing. He has Hometown Hero, which is kicking off a drop, I think March 8th, and I'm still with High Street, so we're doing that, kind of
And
having our
he's
own
still
thing.
at Tuskegee.
Yeah, he's a baseball player at Tuskegee.
That's Tuskegee. Okay.
And so when we kind of like separated, I was like, okay, I can still have this brand, but I still want it to be like a hobby. I don't want it to be a job. But my thing is like outside from basketball, like I love just like fashion, like I love shoes. Like if you know me, my closet is top to bottom filled with shoes, clothes. Like I just like I love putting it
That's a
on.
lot
Like
of basketball players. That's a lot
yeah,
of
that's my thing. Like I like to
Now
look good.
Butler's Nike, right?
Yeah,
It was Michigan
that's
with
the
Jordan, but
mhm.
Jordan and Nike pretty much the same. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you
So I
got a
looked
whole.
out with the schools with the shoes and stuff like that. Jordan, Nike, that's probably the best you can go get.
Yeah,
Um,
they got all the new stuff. I know that. So,
mhm.
but go
Yeah.
ahead.
And so like when I started the business, I was like, I want to do something that like I can create that's kind of personal to me because I do love getting into fashion. I was like, okay, why not try to be creative and make something like that's mine. So when I did that, I was like, okay, I'm actually pretty good at this. Like this is fun. I'm making something that I can wear, that I can style, but it's also like other people can, build off my creativity. And so when I started that, it kind of opened a lot of doors for me with like meeting new people that's outside of basketball. Now I'm meeting people in the business world and the fashion world. And that's kind of been like really cool kind of to see how basketball and my brand can kind of merge together because you have people who follow me because of basketball, like
Hmm.
tapping into my brand. And you have people who didn't even know I play basketball and just tapped into the brand are now seeing, oh, she plays basketball too. Like this is crazy. And I remember I always got some questions like, how are you balancing like school, basketball, and running a brand? And like my thing is, and like what I give like advice I give to other people is at some point, like you're gonna like if you want to start a brand, you want to do something, you're gonna have to do it at some point. To me, there's never really perfect timing because that just to me it's like you're gonna do it, you got to do it. And I was like, okay,
Yes.
I'm in college now, like this is the best opportunity, like a learning opportunity. I want to go into like entrepreneurship. Like, why not do my trial and error business like in college where I have the most opportunity to be successful? And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take the risk and do it, and it's been paying off. Like,
Yeah.
I would regret if I was like, oh, I'm just gonna wait till I get out of college start the business because you lose
Yeah.
out on so much opportunities. You kind of miss that um, kind of gateway for like failure and success. And I think just my thing was like, I'm just gonna do it. This is something I love to do. And even now that it's been almost 2 years of having this brand, I still never see it as a job. And I
Yeah.
just see it as something fun. And like I know like in the next week or so, like I'm about to drop another t-shirt
Yeah.
and kind of do that. And so I'm kind of excited for that. It's kind of like something I can do outside of basketball, but it's something that's like been eye-opening. It's been a great opportunity for me to do that.
Yeah. That's great to hear that because I remember it was my senior year. No, junior year in college, and this was when Skylar Diggins like hit the national scene, like that
Mhm,
Final Four when Lil Wayne, shouted her out. That's my
mhm,
wife, the whole thing, and it's crazy to see her now. Sometimes I go to Nike stores and I see her billboards and all the things
mhm.
that she's doing, and then someone like you coming behind. Now
Yeah.
you have your own brand that you can build, and you go to those companies and say, look how much merch I sold, and they're selling the same merch, and then there's ways of collaborating. These are the things, people, that makes companies want to do an NIL deal with you. At some point, we got to be very realistic. They're not
Mhm,
just going to keep throwing money to college athletes with no ROI. We
mhm.
just got to be very honest about that. At some
Exactly.
point, the college athletes are going to have to show some sort of a partnership, or prove some sort of a sales, prove some sort of a mindset that, hey, I may not make all your money back, but you're investing in something that's going to create revenue, that's going to generate revenue, and that's going to be productive. You have to make it so people want to work with you. You have to take the initiative.
Yeah.
Cannot stress that enough. In college athletes, that's on you. That's not on
Mhm.
the parents. It's not on the coaches. That's not on the administrators. They have jobs. You
Yeah.
don't. You're a college athlete. All right. You need to figure out ways to generate revenue for yourself and make yourself more marketable, more profitable. So
Mhm,
with that, I see where I'm gonna stop saying this because we're not gonna keep these under 30 minutes anymore. It's too much we can get into. But
mhm.
I do wanna first of all thank you for coming on. But just talk a little bit about what's next. How can people get in touch with you? Where you see yourself in the next 5-10 years? How things are gonna be rolling for you in the future. This is your opportunity to plug away.
Um, so where I see myself next, like my big thing is I want to play overseas. So like whatever I'm doing now, basketball wise and
Now
academic.
you have one more year, right?
So
Senior.
I have one
Right.
more year. And so like my thing is I kind of just want to play overseas, play basketball as long as I can, but also
Mhm.
travel the world and like do that. So like that's my goal for like the next 5 to 10 years. And then right now I'm majoring in creative media entertainment. So that's like sports media that can be like broadcasting, videography, sports marketing. I really want to work for like the WNBA and do like all their marketing
Mhm.
stuff. Like, that's my big picture when basketball
Yes.
is over. Also, still keeping my brand. I think that's gonna be something I'm just gonna keep trying to build and build on
Yeah.
top of. But yeah, so like, but like as of right now, like next year, we still have Big East play that's coming up next week. So I'm like really focused on that. We have an opportunity to probably play in the WNIT depending on how successful we get in this Big East tournament. So we have a lot of high hopes for that. Our team is still young, still
Yeah.
learning a lot, and next year is going to be an even better year. But kind of just preparing just day by day for like the season. 'Cause you still have so many games to play. But I think every day I'm just like trying to build my brand because like I'm just at the end of the day, I know like something better is always coming. So
Hmm.
just doing like podcasts like these and trying to, just give my knowledge to other kids who kind of want to do the same thing,
Hmm.
something big. And I just like enjoy doing this. So if you do want to follow me or reach out to me, you can reach out to me at my Instagram at ari.wiggins and my Twitter at ari.wiggins as well. Happy to connect with you and talk to anybody about anything, whether it's basketball, business, academics, the transfer portal, NIL. If you want to pick my brain about it, I'm happy to talk to anybody about it.
And there you have it. We've had another successful, very, very successful episode of NIL and transfer portal navigation. We'll continue to keep doing these regularly. You guys just stay up in touch with me as well about when the show's gonna be coming out, the guests and the whole thing. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. I have a whole page of notes here, man. So Butler women's basketball, you guys gained the fan for sure. Betsy, shout out
Thank
to you,
you.
Betsy. Shout out to Graham. And looking forward to connecting with a couple more people out there, man. So don't be surprised if I pull up on you on one of these games in India. All right.
Just let me know. I'll get you some tickets.
No diggity, no diggity, man. All right, fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon. Sweet.